This video is an overview of what to do about DOIs, or digital object identifiers. When you submit a journal article to the IIAS journals, one of the screens you have to go through is this one, which asks if you use data from MAST or if you use data from IPAC. And it asks if you did use data from IPAC to try to cite the DOI corresponding to the data set that you used. I wrote a paper recently. This video is going to try to explain to you what it is that I did in the hopes that it will make it easier for you. In terms of a generalized overview, this article covers the best practices for data publication. It is a nice article. In the interest of full disclosure, I am part of the et al. Here, but this goes through all sorts of really important things that you should consider when you are publishing your data in the astronomical literature. This is linked from several places in the IIAS publications web pages. DOIs are one of the things that are included in this page. Here is a list of all of the DOIs having to do with datasets at IPAC. There are a lot of them, and a lot of them are just from IRSA. There are DOIs that go with datasets. There are also DOIs that go with services, which is a little bit different. The distinction has to do with datasets that are released once and are static, like the IRSA point source catalog is not going to be updated again. It is what it is. But the ZTF catalog gets updated all the time, so that's more like a service that gets a DOI, not just a dataset. So it's complicated. If you use IRSA services in your work, we do ask that you cite IRSA services as well as other datasets and services that you use using the LaTeX facility keyword. You should use this after your acknowledgments before your references. In this paper, I used K2 data, but also 2MASS and WISE data, and I used services from IRSA and the Exoplanet Archive, so I cited all of those things using the facility keyword. Now, when it comes time to cite the data, this is where it takes a little bit of careful attention. You have to cite both the journal article, or whatever it is that the data providers want you to cite when you use the data, but you also need to cite the actual data. So, for example, for WISE, all WISE, this is the journal article that describes WISE, and it has a DOI that is connected to the journal article. This, however, is the DOI that is attached to the data itself, specifically the copy of the data that is at IRSA. So the first time that I talk about WISE, all WISE, I have to cite Wright et al. 2010A and Wright et al. 2010B. The first one is the journal article. The second one is the data itself. And there's two different DOIs. The journal article that I'm talking about is in fact this one. And it uses a ton of archival data. I'm using K2 data, but I'm also using Gaia and WISE and Spitzer and 2MASS, and I'm using a bunch of IRSA services. So if you want to see what I actually did in practice, you want to see exactly what I did, you can go look and see what I did in this paper. It is complicated. But hopefully this will make it easier on you when you're confronted with this screen when you submit your paper.